Okay, so Aubrey DeGray, thank you very much for doing this interview with me. It's a real pleasure to have you on board with RAADfest. And you were at RAADfest last year and did a great job, and your presentation was fantastic. What did you think? What did you like most about RAADfest last year?
To be honest, the thing that really amazed me about RAADfest was how successfully you were able to combine the serious science with the enthusiasm.
Yeah,
I think, you and Bernie, over the years with People Unlimited, you have made a great success of getting people excited about the whole longevity movement. But you have not been perceived as major players on the serious science of actually making it true.
that's true. That's correct.
Now I think you've really crossed over. You guys had an enormous success last year with that. You were able to bring in very credentialed people and to get them to interact and intersect really well with the crowd who perhaps don't understand too much about the science, but they definitely are very on board with the mission. And this is what we need. This is the way that we're going to actually get progress and get progress to be accelerated in this. So I feel that it was a groundbreaking meeting, and I was delighted to be involved, and I'm just as delighted to be involved this coming year.
Well, thank you for that so much. Yeah, that was we also had a really great time there. I seem like everybody did. So, well, can you give us a little brief summary of the exciting new information you're going to bring to RADfest this year? Last year you were fantastic, and what are you bringing to RADfest this year?
Well, the great thing about what I do and what SENS Research Foundation does is that actually it's hard to answer that question. In other words, it's hard to summarize what's
Exactly,
going
I understand. I
on.
understand.
The
Maybe a
reason
little
folks
glimpse.
Well, okay, let me elaborate.
Okay.
So the reason it's hard to summarize is because we adopt a divide and conquer strategy here. We're trying to address a bunch of different aspects of aging simultaneously, and we recognize that the real benefit is going to come from doing all of them and having them synergize. So the good news that I'm going to be bringing, really, if I want to summarize, if I want to really bring it down to a nutshell, is that there are so many things simultaneously going well.
Oh,
And
great.
that's true both on the science and on the, if you like, the sociology. So one thing that we are very focused on is not just the success of the foundation, Sense Research Foundation, but actually the success of the movement defined much more broadly to include not only the foundation but also the private sector. We have, over the past few years, been very successful in creating spin-out companies that have taken forward some of our research programs. And the more we do that, the better. We want to do ourselves out of business, really. We want to get to a situation where all of these research areas are sufficiently far advanced that there are people out there who think they can make money out of them. And so I'll be talking. I'll be trying to hit a lot of high points in what
Oh,
I say in
beautiful,
August.
beautiful. I love that. I love that. So, what is your single most personal reason that you'd like to end aging or cure aging, as you put it?
For me, well, it's all really about the humanitarian imperative. A lot of people ask me, did I have some kind of epiphany, some kind of moment where I felt, oh God, I really don't want to die, this would be bad. I didn't really have any of that. That was all kind of obvious to me from my earliest years. The epiphany, the only real epiphany I ever had was the realization that most people in the world don't think that way, and that's a problem that really needs to be fixed. Um, for me, it's all about the humanitarian side of things. The fact that 100 odd thousand people die every single day from the ill health of old age. And if we could, have an impact on that, if we could bring the accumulating damage of aging under the same degree of medical control that we already have for most infectious diseases, then we would alleviate the most astronomical amount of suffering. That's what gets me out of bed
I
in the
agree.
morning.
I agree. Wow. Well said. Well said. So, you're a really progressive scientist, but you're also a really great thought leader. What do you think? What do you think it's important for people to attend RAADfest?
I believe that the main thing that needs to change in general public, not just biologists, is to have a better sense of proportion, a better rationality about how to evaluate the pros and cons here. So many people are so scared of the elimination of aging because they perceive that it would create new problems, and they don't know how to quantify those problems. They don't know how to think about how to relate those to the problem that we're solving. So they kind of retreat to a situation of fear of the unknown, that kind of thing. I think what RAADfest achieves, and what many other conferences achieve, but RAADfest does it in a particularly prominent and aggressive way. What it achieves is it helps people to be exposed to the realities of these pros and cons in a way that lets them evaluate them correctly. It lets them, it gives them the opportunity no longer to be just scared to think about these things.
Oh, yeah.
It gives them a proper grounding in how to understand why the problem that we need to solve is far bigger than any problems that we might create. And also, of course, why we probably won't create those problems anyway because we have ways to preempt them. Mm-hmm. These are things that are not obvious. These are things that most people cannot work out for themselves. So they need thought leaders like us to be out there helping them on this. And RAADfest is proving itself to be a really major force in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Great. So I've heard you also talk about your community interest. I mean, you have a sense of that, bringing people together. So how important is it, you feel, is it to have a strong, united community moving together to end aging and death?
I'm not too strong on the business of the community being united in a political sense.
Yes,
I think diversity of not only thought but also expression of thought has value whenever any pioneering technology is being explored. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I absolutely think that it's critical to demonstrate to the world that there is a large community of people who understand that this is the world's most important problem. The more there's a community, the more people feel comfortable with joining the community. There's always a herd mentality, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And the more people at least feel comfortable with listening to what that community has to say. So absolutely, the community building part of thing that I do and that you do, that RAD does, this is a very critical part of hastening the defeat of aging.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much for doing this interview. Is there anything at all that I didn't ask you or you'd like to add to what you've said here for everybody who's listening before we conclude?
Really high points. I mean, I think really you and I both understand very strongly how critical this mission is. We all also understand how critical it is to bring new resources into this, to get more money to be spent on the research, because at the end of the day, nothing's going to happen unless the researchers are given the resources to get on with the job and develop these new medicines that will bring us to a post-aging world. Yes. Obviously, SENS Research Foundation could do with money, People Unlimited could do with money, RAADfest itself could do with money, So we obviously are, in a sense, going out there fundraising at the same time. But at the end of the day, we're doing so in a manner that tries to raise the quality of debate, to educate people to understand why this is a valuable thing to put money into.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Yes, that is a definite purpose of RAADfest, is to help, bring about that abundance of funds, or that redirection of funds towards what we're doing that's so meaningful. So thank you so much for this interview. You're great. I look forward to seeing you at RAADfest, and have a lot of fun there in Spain.
Likewise. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Good job.